Okay, we've got a few people joining now, but we're going to go and make a start. First of all, I'd like to say good afternoon and thank you to everybody who's currently joining us for the special webinar today, where we're going to discover more about Hydropol garment bags and how they're helping brands like N Brown tackle the problems of polybag pollution. My name's Andy Garbett. I work in marketing here at Aquapak. But leading the webinar today, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Rebecca Pickard, who's our fashion sector channel partner and will be taking you through our presentation. But we're also delighted to have Liz Grierson joining us as well. Liz is the quality manager for product and packaging at N Brown and will be giving us some insights into how their new bags that are made with Hydropol are helping N Brown hit their sustainability targets. But before we hand over to Rebecca, I would like to mention as well that this venture really has been a three-way collaboration with Maxim Label and Packaging as well, who've been instrumental in supporting the project and bringing Polymax and Hydropol to the garment bag market with us. So we want to really encourage as many brands as possible to adopt new materials, but we understand that that isn't easy. There's a lot of choice on the market out there, a lot of information. But this quick introduction that we hope to give you is will hopefully let you take the first step towards moving towards Hydropol and Polymax. Please feel free to drop any questions in the chat. The Q&A is open, I believe. And if you have any colleagues that haven't been able to make this session, or if you've joined late, we're recording it all and we're going to make it available to you afterwards, along with some details on how you can sign up for a free Hydropol garment bag trial. You can order sample packs directly from our website as well at any point if you'd like to do the demo yourselves in your offices. But that's enough from me. I'm going to hand over now to Rebecca. So yeah, over to you, Rebecca.
Great. Thanks so much for the introduction, Andy. Liz, thank you so much for joining us today as well. And of course, everybody who's joined the webinar. We really appreciate your interest in looking at an innovative solution to the packaging problem within our sector. So my own background is in fashion production as well. And I discovered Hydropol out of my frustration in not finding the right sustainable packaging solution for my own client base. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Hydropol. I'm going to start by doing that with a dissolving Hydropol. As you see, some of you will have had sample bags already. If you haven't, as Andy said, please do let us know and we'll get samples across to you. Hydropol looks and feels like conventional plastic. It is very strong and importantly, it's a dissolvable material. So Hydropol dissolves immediately at 70 degrees Celsius. I have got a kettle, oh, you can't see it, kettle of hot water and a cup, which I do hope resists the heat that I'm putting in it. Okay, so there's a cup of hot water. Here you see the Hydropol, which I will put in the water, and we will see that it immediately dissolves at 70 degrees Celsius. Okay, Andy, if you wouldn't mind starting the presentation and I will talk through.
Of course, I'm just share my screen. Okay.
Thanks, Andy. If you go to the next slide. Okay, so what is Hydropol? Hydropol is an innovative technology that's been developed by Aquapak Polymers in response to the plastic crisis and to drive solutions towards a circular economy. Andy? Thank you. Okay, now you've just seen me dissolve Hydropol in a cup of hot water, and that is at 70 degrees Celsius. The Hydropol grade that we use for the garment bags, specifically for the garment bags, is designed to only dissolve at 70 degrees Celsius. Now, we use this grade, and there are other grades that are used for different products that Aquapak has developed, which are used, for example, for food packaging or dissolvable wipes. But here we're here to talk today about Hydropol, really in its simplest form as a monofilm material, which is ideal for solving the problem that we have in the fashion sector. So as we've seen, it'll dissolve immediately in hot water, but that is really just an opener to show the technology. It doesn't mean that we expect that the consumer is going to boil a kettle of hot water to dissolve of the Hydropol. So when we say Hydropol is dissolvable at 70 degrees Celsius, that really what it does is really introduce us to all the different possible ends of life of Hydropol, which, as you see on this slide, Hydropol is formulated to leave no trace in the environment, regardless of how it is disposed. So point one, it is water soluble, immediately water soluble at 70 degrees Celsius. What this leads to when we look at recycling is that Hydropol, when it's mixed in with plastic that's destined to be recycled, and as we know, we experience that problem a lot in the fashion sector. A lot of brands are using recycled plastic, which is a great step in the right direction. However, only 9% of plastic is actually recycled. And unfortunately, in our sector, it's actually exacerbated by the fact that thin plastic is difficult to recycle. So unless there is a dedicated collection scheme, recycled polybags still are not helping the end of life. So how is Hydropol easier in terms of recycling? Well, all the plastic that is being collected, so all the plastic that's going into the consumer's plastic recycling bin, all of that plastic gets taken to the recycling plant, where it'll go through a hot wash to get rid of any remaining labels on the packaging or any food debris, for example. That hot wash that all of the plastic goes through is above 70 degrees Celsius, and the Hydropol will then melt or degrade or dissolve, as you saw in the example I just gave you. And the Hydropol will literally melt away from the rest of the plastic, leaving the rest of the plastic to be recycled. And of course, it is really important that any new technologies can actually protect the efforts that are being made to improve plastic recycling overall. So when Hydropol degrades and dissolves, it's going to go down into the wastewater treatment systems where it causes no harm at all. Now, there are other aspects as well to look at with the recycling. As I said earlier, Hydropol is actually designed for the circular economy, which means that ideally in the future, when we have got more product on the market, as with everything, we rely on economies of scale. Hydropol is actually designed so that it can be collected at the end of its use and can then be recycled. I'll move on to the next step, which is saying Hydropol leaves no harmful plastics, microplastics, regardless of how it's actually disposed of. So we've just covered how recycling would work in today's environment. When we say that Hydropol is suitable for any end of life, number one, that would be recycling is an ideal end of life for Hydropol as it doesn't contaminate the plastic. We also have to look, of course, at landfill. So that's anaerobic digestion. So in landfill, the way the Hydropol would react is it doesn't need air in order to degrade. It relies on the water that's in the landfill. So Hydropol will then absorb the water in the landfill to then degrade into harmless biomass, releasing only CO2. And of course, when we're talking about landfill, we can say that it's the same situation in nature, for example. So if a Hydropol bag were accidentally released into nature, it would absorb water and it would again leave behind harmless biomass and release CO2. Compostability. Well, Hydropol hasn't actually been designed specifically to be a compostable material, but we do say that any end of life is suitable, which is, again, is really the key with Hydropol. So when it comes to compostability, Hydropol will react in the same way in composting. However, it's not really designed for that. The reason it's not designed for that is because there are so many other products on the market, which is the starch-based compostables, that are specifically designed for compostability. Now, in the UK and also in many other developed countries, the amount of consumers that actually have access to compostability is only 10%, which is why we've not given specific focus onto that area. However, as I said, Hydropol is suitable for all ends of life, which does include compostability. And marine safety. And this is something that is really important in Hydropol as well. a product that comes onto the market today with all the concerns about the marine safety and the oceans, Hydropol is an ideal solution there as well. First of all, of course, the ocean, it is water, as are the rivers that lead to the ocean, which means that Hydropol is going to, as soon as it touches water, it's going to start a slow degradation process. Now, you may be already asking, wait, Rebecca, you said that Hydropol dissolves immediately in 70 degrees Celsius. Well, yes, that's been done for the garment bags to have the most resistance possible in the supply chain. And of course, Liz will be talking to us more later on about how Hydropol has worked in the supply chain. But we've designed it to really be resistant up to 70 degrees Celsius. However, when it is exposed to water, and that applies to the landfill, to nature, and of course also to rivers and oceans, the Hydropol is going to slowly be absorbing the water and again turning into harmless biomass and releasing CO2. So, for example, you're not going to find any images of a turtle with an N brown bag around its neck because it would have already dissolved. Andy? Now, to break this down into very simply, what does this mean for the consumer? A key message with Hydropol is that as a brand, you'll take away the responsibility from the consumer of how to correctly dispose of the packaging that's arriving in their home. So with Hydropol, you can place it in the plastic recycling bin, which is the domestic recycling, where it's not going to contaminate other recoverable materials. That's the rest of the plastic. It will dissolve safely and completely in the recycling process, release safely to wastewater and leaving no harmful microplastics behind. And in general waste, again, that's going to go to landfill, and the Hydropol will again be degrading into CO2, water, and harmless biomass. So this makes Hydropol a very easy packaging product for the consumer to be able to dispose of guilt-free by the brand taking away the responsibility from the consumer of how to remove the packaging that is being sent into their home when they purchase a product. Andy? Okay, well, there's no point in having a fantastic product that leaves no trace at the end of its life if it can't actually do the job that we need it to do in our global supply chains. So Hydropol, apart from being a solution that leaves no harm at all at the end of its life, Hydropol has also proven to be strong and robust throughout the supply chain. So as I said, Hydropol is a very strong material. It's actually very difficult for me to pull apart. It's got very high puncture resistance, and it has been in use on global supply chains already for years. We will be hearing, as you know, from Liz, who will go into more details about how Hydropol has worked in their own supply chain. With Hydropol, an important factor of Hydropol as well, and I get asked this a lot because there's the other materials that have come onto the market, let's say the starch-based compostable materials that were very popular 5 to 7 years ago. I have a lot of brands that contact me saying, you say that Hydropol has a longer shelf life and this is a strong advantage of Hydropol. Well, yes, that is the case. I myself actually have samples that are 5 years old, although you'll see on this slide that the Hydropol shelf life is shown at 2 years plus. That's because the first part that will start to degrade in a Hydropol bag is actually the adhesive seal, not the Hydropol itself. Hydropol really does need to be in contact with water in order for it to start the degradation process. So any brands that do hold stocks for longer periods, Hydropol is an ideal solution for that as well. Okay, Andy? Okay, so let's go through the key features of Hydropol. So Hydropol is going to perform like a plastic without the risk of plastic pollution. As we said, it leaves no trace, which means it is not going to be creating any packaging waste, leaving behind, again, just CO2 and marine safe biomass. We've got multiple hassle-free disposal options for consumers and brand. The response is it actually doesn't matter how you dispose of it, it's not going to cause any harm at the end of its life. Garment bags are Hydropol garment bags. They're very strong. They've got high tensile strength and puncture resistance, and they have more than a 2-year shelf life as well, which is very important for us in our sector. Scalability. Hydropol garment bags are now available at scale. We do have a global network of packaging converters, so do let us know if there are any specific areas that you are looking at supply for Hydropol bags as well. And of course, it's backed by science. Aquapak is an R&D company and it's dedicated a lot of time to develop Hydropol to exactly these specifications, which is ideal for the fashion sector. Andy? Hey, there are other brands, of course, that have also been using Hydropol. So I will fly through this. You'll see N Brown at the top with their brands Jacamo, Simply Be, and JD Williams. There are other brands that have been using Hydropol for 3, 4, and even 5 years. Andy? Okay, now with Hydropol, we've got a unique opportunity also. Packaging is not generally let's say, the sexier part of a brand or the fashion sector. However, with Hydropol, that is something that can change. I've put here some examples of different texts that brands have put onto their Hydropol garment bag. So I'm going to read through one of them for you. I am special. This bag is compostable, biodegradable, and recyclable. It causes no harm to marine life or the environment, leaving behind only a harmless biomass, no microplastics or toxins. Alternatively, dissolve in hot water for immediate disposal. So you'll see there that the dissolving in hot water really is an add-on. Now, of course, marketing teams could have quite a bit of fun with dissolving Hydropol bags in hot water to really show the features of the material. And the message that the message that the brand decides to put on the garment bag is really an opportunity to show who the brand is and how they've taken the responsibility away from the consumer of how to correctly dispose of the packaging. You got an example on the left, which is N Brown's bag, and you'll see that they've included a QR code on the bag, apart from their own message talking about the technology. So for consumers that do read the message and are interested in the technology, as opposed to them contacting the customer service department, they have a QR code there that they can read, and they'll then find in more layman's terms a simple explanation of what the technology is and why there are so many different ways that the product can actually be disposed of. So that's an important message for the marketing teams. Andy? And as I said, Aquapak, we are a technological company. We're very much focused on research and development and standing behind our claims. Hydropol has taken 10 years of research and development to really get to the right point. And it's very important to us that there is no greenwashing involved. And I refer back to the messages that could be put on garment bags. So we do encourage brands to work with ourselves to make sure that the message is clear and is not science facts and not science fiction. Okay, Andy? Okay, and that leads me on to N Brown. So as I said earlier, N Brown has got the brands Simply Be, Jacamo, and JD Williams. N Brown is one of the largest UK retailers, primarily online, and they have been supported by our partner Maxim in doing the rollout of Hydropol or polybags throughout N Brown's supply chain, with the goal of up to 44% reduction in conventional plastic by switching to Hydropol, and with Hydropol garment bags to be rolled out across own brands in 2025. Now, N Brown has also been nominated for the Retail Gazette Game Changer Awards, which is exciting news for N Brown. And I would now like to pass over to Liz, introduce Liz. Thanks, Andy. Hi, Liz. Oh, you're on mute.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Rebecca.
Hey. Thanks so much, Liz. Do you want to give a little introduction of who you are and talk a little bit about N Brown, and then I'll ask you some questions about your experience.
So, as Rebecca mentioned, I'm Liz Grayson. I manage the quality and innovation for product and packaging here at N Brown. M Brown, we're UK clothing and footwear digital retail platform, and our brand's built on heritage, over 160 years history. And yes, I've been working very closely with Rebecca and Maxims and the team to bring new innovations through packaging into our network.
Fantastic. Thanks, Liz. And thanks so much again for joining us and sharing your experience with other brands that are looking as well at sustainable alternatives. So Liz, first question, what initially drew you towards Hydropol? What problem was it that you were looking at solving, and why did Hydropol tick those boxes for you?
Well, Rebecca, to be honest, we knew as a business we had a plastic problem, which quite a lot of retailers do at the moment, and obviously it needed to be resolved. It was our responsibility as a business to take that complexity away from recycling our customers, but obviously while reducing plastic that goes into landfill, which is really important for us. So we just wanted to do more basically than setting the targets. We needed to take that action, and that we did. And obviously started to look out there in the market, and we linked up with yourselves and Maxims to support us on that journey.
Fantastic. It's wonderful when I come across brands that really are looking at new solutions and something innovative. I know it's always a little bit nerve-wracking for the brand, which is why I appreciate you so much to be here today and really share your experience with other brands that are looking at taking that step. Okay, well, what about any testing or trials before rolling out Hydropol? Again, with it being a new material, what steps did you take to really make sure that it was going to work in your supply chain?
Well, obviously we looked out there in the market and connected with the right people. There was a big piece of work, obviously, with internal parties and our suppliers and operations stream. We conducted many tests internally and externally, just to make sure that the product had functioned within the operation, from the likes of making sure that our labelling adhered to the material, that it actually functioned quickly and efficiently within operations at our supplier base. I think we probably took about 6 to 10 different types of tests. Of course, we obviously tested the dissolvability of the bags as well. So yeah, we had to test everything throughout the stream, really, Rebecca, just to make sure we were comfortable. And throughout the experience, obviously, there's always been continuous improvement working with yourselves and Maxims, and I feel that we've got there and we're in a really good place.
Fantastic, good to hear. And as I said before, I think it is very normal for brands to want to go through the trial process and really understand the product themselves. But I think you being able to share your experience really give brands that confidence that it does work in the real world, and it does work with supply chains in different countries and on the shipping routes. And of course, for you also out to your consumer, because it's e-commerce, isn't it, as well?
Yes, yes.
So you've been rolling out Hydropol bags with Maxim as your supply partner. Can you give us an idea of how wide the rollout is, what countries it is that you've developed, or what part of your packaging is actually now in Hydropol?
Yeah, of course. So we've rolled out now to approximately 50 suppliers, and that's over 3 global locations. So we are just over 1.6 million garment bags that have successfully now gone through our operation stream through those locations. So we're going to keep it sort of expanding further with our supplier base. It's been quite successful, Rebecca.
Wonderful. I like hearing that. What about the responses within your business yourself? What's been the response from senior management? I know you've really been an advocate of pushing this product within N Brown. What have been the responses from colleagues or operations, for example, etc.? Have you had any resistance, or what has been their response when they've seen the products coming in? I know you've got a Hydropol bag on the desk there. So you can see the product that's gone through the full supply chain.
I will show you. Yes. I was going to save it till the end for impact, Rebecca.
Sorry.
If you can see that. No, it's had a very positive response. There's always, with any innovation, there are nerves. But I think it's almost giving that reassurance through the testing that we've done, through the feedback from the experts. And as we slowly started to roll the packaging out over our supply base and start to see it coming through into our warehouse, then obviously people's confidences grew. So I would say it's been accepted well, and it's definitely supported us with our ESG credentials. And I must say, with product coming into stocks and touching down in our warehouse, it has all been in good condition. The feedback we've had from our warehouse operation colleagues, and we've now had stock for over 12 months, which is it's still in pristine condition, which is great, because it shows that it's got a longer lifespan than originally expected. But obviously that is the case.
That's great that you bring that up. Thanks, Liz, because as I said, it is a concern for a lot of brands, because everyone is used to new materials. They will refer to what used to be the compostable starch-based materials, which of course they'll have a shelf life of 1 to 2 years. Whereas with Hydropol, we're really managing to extend that, which is something that's important if you do need to hold stock. And excitedly, because of your change over to Hydropol, you've been nominated for the Game Changer Awards. How does that feel? Is that something you were expecting?
Fantastic. Very, very proud. Very, very proud. And obviously Brownlee's extremely proud as well. Very, very exciting. And I think, like I said, it's about taking that mitigated risk, doing something different, not just setting those targets, looking at those new initiatives. And obviously they've seen that, and we've been put forward. So fingers crossed.
Good luck. We'll be watching.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I do want to allow some time for questions as well. We did say that we would try to do this within 30 minutes. So I'm very much aware of the time. Don't want to keep everybody for too long. I'm just going to finish with one question, Liz. What would be your message to other brands that are looking at other sustainable packaging? Is now the time to act?
Yeah, I think Rebecca, sharing experience today hopefully has given people a little bit of confidence to try something different. Absolutely, we need to act now, if not already. And I'm hoping that with N Brown, myself and the team, and yourself and Maxim sort of making this leap, that we've now done some of the work, particularly from an operational perspective, and we know that this now works in practice, that people potentially will jump on board and follow the journey through with us.
Exactly. It's not a concept, it's a reality. It's on the market, it works, and we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Led by N Brown. Thanks so much, Liz. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
I think we'd go, Andy.
Yeah, thank you. I've just had one. Is Liz still there? I think she isn't she?
Oh yes, I am.
You're still there? Yes.
Ready for questions.
It was just a question about sort of consumer feedback and how you're advising consumers to dispose of it. Is that the QR code on the bag? Is that how that works?
Yes. Because I think with any innovation, it is educating the customer, isn't it? So we were very mindful of that. So we've obviously added through the QR code a story about the bag that then leads to the support of what to do with the bag on arrival. And we have done some insight sessions as well with customers, and we've had some good feedback on the back of, it's great to see that you're working with sustainable materials. So it is sort of where they'd want to see us go. So yeah, the QR code could be used, or you could put a little leaflet in. We also have information on the website, so we can provide our customers with that support when using these new materials in practice.
It's
Fantastic,
really
yeah.
such an easy way for a brand to show a commitment to sustainability. Because as I said, my background is in fashion production, and we've looked at things like changing the buttons, changing the material, changing this,
Yeah.
changing that. And it is complicated. Whereas a
Yes.
really easy step is change the packaging. That's the first thing that the consumer's going to see. And
Absolutely.
you get a little pat on the back as a brand, having really showed that you are moving towards sustainable practices as much as you can.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's correct, Rebecca.
Okay then, well, thank you very much, Liz. We wanted to try and keep this as close as we could to the 30 minutes. So thank you very much, Rebecca. Thank you very much, Liz, for joining us. Thank you most of all to everyone who's joined us as well on this webinar. As I say, we have recorded the session. We will email that out to everybody who's joined. Please feel free to share that with your colleagues who may be interested to hear about that. Also, we'll email out some further details of Hydropol. There'll be a bit of a one-page overview to sort of summarize Rebecca's presentation. Plus, if you want to try it yourself, seeing is believing. There's nothing quite like dissolving the bag in front of your colleagues, or even better, maybe signing up for our garment bag trial and testing it thoroughly in your own distribution chain. So we'll send details on of how everybody can do that and experience the same that N Brown have experienced. So in the meantime, please sign up to our Aquapak newsletter on the website. Request your individual free sample if you want to do that as well on the website. And please follow us on LinkedIn if you're not already. But I'll give you now the rest of your afternoons back. So thank you very much indeed. Thanks again to Liz and Rebecca, and stay tuned for more from us, and cheering on N Brown at the awards in about 15 days time. Hopefully we'll win that game-changing award with you. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for
Bye.
joining.
Bye,
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.